It's starting to snow. Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'll be doing a tag for you, and I know it's been quite a long time since I've actually done a tag. I've been tagged in so many and I just haven't gotten around to them, or I just find myself not having answers to some of the questions, and I just feel awkward doing them if I can't answer every question. So I should kind of get back on the ball and start doing some of these. But this one was fairly simple. I couldn't wait to go ahead and do it. I was tagged by the wonderful Steve Donahue. I look forward to seeing his videos in my feed every day. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3 videos. If you haven't checked out his channel, definitely do so. This tag was created by My Books on Me, and it's all about your book buying habits. And there's 13 questions overall, so I'll go ahead and get started. Question number 1, where do you buy your books? For those of you who are new to my channel, I have worked at Barnes & Noble for the past, if you can see that, 30 plus 1 years. So a majority of the books, of course, I buy from Barnes & Noble. I get an employee discount. Twice a year I get a little bump up in that discount. It's called Employee Appreciation Week, which is currently happening right now. And if you saw my recent ambitious TBR for December, you might have seen a lot of the books that I had recently purchased. I'm planning on reading 29 books this month to kind of try to complete my Goodreads challenge. I didn't realize I was quite so far behind, and I thought, well, I was going to let it go, and I thought, no, I want to try and make it, because I hate to lose. So I thought I'd go ahead and focus on manga series, and I'm in the middle of several of them, and I just kind of wanted to get going with them, so I actually just recently purchased a whole bunch of manga. I also buy books from Half Price Books. It's one of the few used bookstores in the area. I miss the days when they had places like the Paperback Exchange used to be in my neighboring plaza. You'd bring books in, you'd get points for those books, and then you could turn around and use those points to purchase books in return. Those are very hard to find around anymore. I also go to library sales, and I find some really wonderful books there as well. Found this one recently, The Mysterious Affair of Styles by Agatha Christie. You never know what you're going to find at those used bookshops. Even thrift stores. There's a Savor store in the plaza right behind where Barnes & Noble is located, and sometimes on my way home I'll just pop in there and see what's up. I do shop sometimes online from Amazon, occasionally, Barnes & Noble, and also the Book Depository. And what I like about the Book Depository is the fact that they have free worldwide shipping, and I can also get books with UK covers that I sometimes prefer, like the Jasper Fforde series. I love this series, but the UK covers are just amazing. On to question 2. Do you pre-order books? No, I don't. Working in a bookstore, and especially working in the receiving department, I see everything that comes in the moment it comes in. I have plenty to read at home that I don't need to, I'll get it when it comes in. It's going to come right through my fingers probably, so I don't really need to pre-order anything. There's never anything in such high demand that it's going to sell out before I could get a chance to purchase it anyway if I really wanted it that badly, so no, I don't pre-order. Number 3, on average, how many books do you buy in a month? There are some months when I don't buy anything, and there's some months when I seem to buy quite a bunch like I did just recently. But if I had to pick a number, I'd probably say it averages anywhere between 6 and 10 books. Number 4, do you use the local library? My local library is actually a little further away from me than the one in the neighboring town, so I actually go to the neighboring town more often. But in terms of renting books out, I don't actually do that very often. It's very rare. Mostly I use my local library in terms of online through the Overdrive app, where I download my library books, my library audiobooks. So most of the books that you see me talk about, if I don't get it from audible.com, I will order from the library through the Overdrive app. And the question number 5 is if you do use your local library. If so, how many books at a time? Again, I generally don't rent books out. When I was a kid, I loved going to the library. I come from a family of non-readers, so it was difficult to get someone to drive me there. We didn't have books at home. I didn't have bookshelves till probably the past couple of years. So there was never books to choose from at home, and I was just dying to go to the library to find stuff to read. So back then I did use it a lot, but since I've worked in a bookstore, some 31 years now, I haven't really found it necessary to. So not really that much with the library. Number 6, what is your opinion of library books? Well, I think they're great for people particularly who either can't afford books or don't have, places to store books in their home. So, buy and get rid of books, it's kind of expensive to do that too. So it's nice just having that opportunity to make books available to people who can't afford them. Question number 7, how do you feel about secondhand bookshops? Well, as I said before, for me, I just absolutely love it because besides the fact that you're getting some really great deals, you never know what you're going to find in a used bookshop. It all depends on what someone's brought in, and the stock's going to rotate. It's not like you kind of know what the new releases are coming out and everything. Then the same authors over and over. That like in new bookstores that come out with books, Grisham and Clancy and that kind of thing. Is there's some old wonderful treasures that you could find in a used bookshop, and I just love kind of browsing through that. Number 8, do you keep your red and TBR piles separate? Okay, to answer this question, I decided to come in the basement where I have most of my books. There's 3 bookcases here linked together, and some books sitting up on top there. The bookcase over here on the left are completely books that I have not read yet. You'll see a lot of YA titles here. They're double stacked as well. And I've just not been into YA like I was when I originally started BookTube, so just haven't felt like getting into those. So I'm hoping to eventually. The second bookcase is also double stacked, so there's 2 rows on each shelf. And I have read all of these books. And I probably need to weed out some of the ones that I no longer need to keep, but there are some that I do want to hang on to. And then the third bookcase as well are books that I have read, with the possible exception of some of the Doctor Who books you see right there on that top shelf. The ones that are turned backwards are ones that I have read. I have not read the ones that are facing forward. And again, this is a double row of books as well. A lot of middle grade, a lot of graphic novels on this shelf. The back of the shelf here has like my Kim Harrison hardcover collection of the Hollow series. And some larger books down below here. Some books on the Blackhawks and Harry Potter and some TV shows that I watch. More graphic novels as well. And then the top shelf is mostly classics. And Steve, you're going to love this. This is pretty much the extent of my Penguin collection. If you watch Steve's channel, you'll know he has an entire wall in a room full of Penguin books. And this is a mixture of ones that I've read and not read. So for the most part, I tried, at least with this case here, to keep the books that I haven't read separate from the rest. And I'll just go upstairs now and I'll show you what I have up there. Now, this is my bedroom where I do film a lot of my BookTube videos. And there's just the one bookcase in here which has mostly manga on it. There's some Jasper Fforde books on that third shelf. This is double rows on each shelf as well. The bottom one is just filled with Doctor Who VHS tapes. Now this particular bookcase is filled with some that I have read and some that I haven't read. The ones I have not read are definitely on the floor over there. And on top of this dresser is a little mixture as well. That far left pile stacked is all the books I read from November, which I have to do my November wrap-up. The one just to the right of that are the ones I've read so far in December. And this huge pile here of manga are ones that I need to read for December, for my December ambitious TBR challenge, reading 29 books in 31 days. This book, Ash, here is just one left over from October I haven't completed yet. And some books I need to bring downstairs that I haven't read. And most of these in the back row here, actually all of these in the back rows, are books that I have not gotten to yet. So this is a little bit of a mixture as well on here. So for the most part, I try to keep them separate, but I really just don't have the shelving space to do so, and that makes it a little bit more challenging. Question number 9, do you plan to read all the books you own? Seems kind of a silly question, like why would you buy them if you don't plan on reading them? But for some people who can't read quite as fast as Steve Donahue, we tend to sometimes accumulate books and don't get to them as soon as we would like to. And unfortunately, yes, we do start to pile them up, and then it seems like by the time you do get to them, or after they've been sitting there for a couple of years, your interest isn't there anymore, and it's terrible. It's terrible to do that to ourselves, and like I do to myself. I know there's books that I've come across on my shelves. I'm thinking, God, I don't think I'm ever going to read that now. You know, I really wanted to at the time. You know, watching BookTube sometimes had motivated me to purchase books that I probably, you know, if I would have stepped back a little bit and thought about it more, I probably wouldn't have bought them right away. And by the time, you know, maybe if I really wanted to read it, I would have bought it at the time. But instead, you kind of feel like, oh, I want to get that now before I forget about it, kind of thing. You should just make a ledger and write books down, then go back to it when I'm thinking I'm looking for something to read, and cross off stuff that maybe I no longer have that interest in. But You tend to accumulate books a little quicker than you can read them, and then your interest wanes on them, and yeah, they sit there a little longer than they should. I've always got a plan to read them all. I just don't have as much time as I'd like. Question number 10, what do you do with your discards? And question number 11, do you ever donate books? I think that kind of goes hand in hand. Yes, in terms of my discards, I do sometimes donate them. I will donate them to the local library for their book sales. I've also gone to what they call those little free libraries. There's two of them in the neighboring town. One of them at a park, and another one is at like near the train station. And I brought several books there before, particularly either like a lot of the advanced reader copies. You can't like resell those things, so I've brought some of my own that I've had it from home, and some from the store that have just sort of sat there that nobody wanted to read. Why let them go to waste? I go ahead and drop them off at the little free libraries. I've found books there myself. Recently I brought like a whole box of books and dropped them off, and I came across these two, In Cold Blood by Truman Capote and The Ghost Stories of Edith Wharton. Again, it's you never know what you're going to find. It's like used book shopping in a way, but you don't have to pay for it. I just did an exchange, brought something and took something back. In terms of other discards, I will sometimes sell things to half-price books, earn a little cash back, and then maybe turn around and buy something else if I happen to see it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Back when my grandmother was in a nursing home, I used to bring books there from time to time, but I haven't done that in quite some time. Question number 12: have you ever been on a book buying ban? I've never consciously said I am not going to buy any more books, but I know subconsciously I find myself not wanting to really, buy too much anymore. Like a lot of times if I got out of work, sometimes I would go to the thrift store. I would just pop in and just to see what might be there, but I find myself not even wanting to do that for the past several months. It's just like, yeah, I just want to go home. I want to go home and read what I've got. I've got plenty of books to read, so I think subconsciously I'm kind of just shying away from buying books. I'm not saying I'm not going to buy books from this point until this point, or until I've read so many or whatever, but in my head I'm kind of, I guess, doing it subconsciously. Yeah, I have so many books at home that I really want to read, and I've got to stop. Question number 13, do you feel you buy too many books? Well, I think a better way to, or a more accurate statement would be to say I read too few. I work a full-time job. I come home and, have dinner, and then I sit down, and I could be picking up a book right away, but no, I hop on YouTube and I watch the, catch up on the videos there. I flick through Facebook, and that's just a big time waster. You find yourself getting so caught up in that, and I know I do it, but I could be picking up a book and reading, and I could get through some more books and clear out some of my shelves and feel a little, in a way, guilty of having all these books I bought and not reading them. Yeah, so I would say I instead of buying too many, I think I read too few. I have opportunities where I could fit reading in, and I don't, and I waste time on social media. So that needs to end. Okay, the only thing left to do is to tag some people. I want to tag Erin at Rath's Queen's Books, Charlie at Duvet Day Devours, and Vipka at One Book, One Review. I want to see what your guys' book buying habits are. Anybody else wants to tag it, feel free, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.